Where are you listening from tonight? Maybe your bed is beneath a quiet ceiling. Maybe you're curled up under blankets as the night sky stretches far above. Wherever you are, welcome. You've stepped into a story that doesn't ask for focus, only for calm curiosity. A journey not of battles or monsters, but of mystery and comfort. In the world of Percy Jackson, there are places you've seen in the daylight Camp Half-Blood, with its cabins and pine trees, Mount Olympus in the clouds above New York, Poseidon's palace beneath the sea. But there are also places hidden in the quiet realms that flicker just outside our sight, behind ivy-covered walls, beneath trapdoors that sigh open when no one is looking. Tonight, we'll walk through them all, one by one, door by door. You don't have to know the names. You don't need to remember the quests or the gods or the rules. All you need is stillness. As we drift from realm to realm, let each place feel like a dream you've visited before, even if you haven't. There are realms of forgotten scrolls beneath the big house, underwater palaces made of pearl and memory, islands that sigh with loneliness and magic, casinos where time stands still and music hums like sleep. Even the labyrinth, shifting and strange, becomes a soft maze of slow discovery. The stories we'll tell tonight are not action-packed or loud. They're gentle, safe, imagined through a fog of mist and moonlight. You may notice some places from the books and others that never had a chapter of their own. That's okay. The Percy Jackson universe is wider than it seems. And in this quiet corner of it, we walk without fear, float without effort, and dream without end. Tonight, you'll wander through ancient gardens where doves sing above Hera's temple, through cloud-bathed Olympus while the gods sleep, past the edges of Asphodel where silent trees remember every name. You'll visit Calypso's island as it glows with forgotten sunsets, the dream temple of Morpheus where the walls are stitched from memory, and even the shifting compass room hidden deep beneath Camp Half-Blood, where every sleeping soul can choose its next destination. These aren't just places to explore, they're places to rest in. We won't rush. There's no battle to win, no prophecy to fulfill. Just the gentle promise of stories wrapped in starlight and the steady rhythm of a voice to keep you company until you drift away. So breathe deeply, as if inhaling sea air or pine wind. Let your muscles grow heavy. Let your thoughts grow lighter, because the first door is opening now, and what lies beyond is not a monster, but a memory. A soft one, a kind one, the kind you can sleep in. Welcome to the secret realms of the Percy Jackson universe. The first door opens not with a creak, but with a breeze, the scent of pine, of strawberries warming under the morning sun, of campfire smoke drifting through early dawn. You find yourself on the edge of a hill, the air clear and still, and at your feet lies Camp Half-Blood. It doesn't shout its magic, it hums. The lone pine tree stands to your right, its needles whispering softly, a golden fleece draped gently across the highest branch. It sways, but not from the wind. It moves like something breathing. This hill, this moment, is the only border between two worlds. Beyond it lies a place mortals cannot truly see. You step past the boundary, and the earth seems to shift, not drastically, but like you've just entered a page of a story you once dreamed. The path ahead is quiet gravel, warm beneath your steps, winding slowly toward cabins that glow in the sunrise like polished wood and copper. To your left, the strawberry fields stretch wide, dotted with sleepy satyrs, half curled among the vines, their flutes tucked beneath their arms. No one bothers them. Dreams are respected here, even in the daylight. The dining pavilion stands on a rise above the sea, its marble columns casting long, sleepy shadows across the stone floor. Plates shimmer with golden light, empty for now, waiting patiently for laughter and toast and stories. And the big house, blue and grand and oddly shaped, rests in the distance like an old soul. There's something ancient beneath its porch, like time settled into the wood. If you walk close, you'll feel it too. A hush, a stillness, the weight of 1,000 whispered prophecies that never made it into the books. There's a rocking chair that rocks without anyone in it, a breeze that carries old memories. Chiron's hooves pacing across the boards, Annabeth sketching battle plans in notebooks, Grover nibbling on tin cans, Percy staring into the horizon, wondering if home was ever behind him or always ahead. The camp doesn't forget. It remembers every camper, every cabin, every challenge, and every dream left unfinished. You walk past the arena empty, peaceful, just a quiet ring of dust beneath the sky. Even the dummies look relaxed, as if they've taken a long, well-earned break from sparring. The climbing wall, once roaring with lava, now hums faintly, a low purr of power dormant but alive. Each cabin you pass breathes its own quiet mood. Cabin 3, with its scent of ocean mist and faint gull cries. Cabin 6, with its owl feather corners and chessboards mid-game. Cabin 9, with bronze gears ticking softly through the silence. No one greets you with noise. Camp Half-Blood is awake, but it's not loud. It's gentle. It waits. And somewhere behind the cabins, through a narrow path veiled in vines, you find a small forgotten door. It doesn't belong to any cabin or god you know. It's curved, made of soft cedar etched with stars. You open it, and the world changes again. The sky darkens, not with storm, but with height. The clouds part, and suddenly you are rising. Up, up, higher than buildings, higher than clouds, guided by an elevator that doesn't rumble, but sings. A soft note carries you through the air, and you don't feel metal or glass beneath your feet, only this sensation of rising thought, of floating between here and somewhere divine. This is no ordinary elevator. It's a passage of belief, and tonight it carries you to Olympus, the city of the gods, hidden not on a mountaintop, but in a realm just above mortal thought, where marble gleams without glare, and every heartbeat of the world below echoes gently through the stone. The elevator doesn't ding when it reaches the top. It exhales a soft breath, like the sky letting you go gently, like clouds peeling away to reveal something sacred. When the doors open, you step into silence, not the absence of sound, but the kind of quiet that belongs to temples and wishes and places that were dreamt of before they were built. Olympus isn't loud. It doesn't shimmer like cartoons or thunder like stories. It glows. Marble arches rise like frozen waves above you, and columns tower with no visible beginning or end. The floor beneath your feet is warm and solid, made of ancient stone that never cracks, each tile faintly pulsing like a heartbeat tied to the world below. You've entered a city not made of bricks and laws, but of belief collective, old layered belief. Here, in this mountaintop that floats above Manhattan and memory, time folds differently. You could walk for hours and still feel you've only blinked. The wind is fragrant, like olive trees and fresh parchment and lightning in the distance. And though you see no gods at first, you feel them. Each corner hums with a name. To the left, a staircase winds upward toward the throne room, and you follow it slowly, your steps making soft echoes on the polished steps. The hall of the gods opens like a cathedral in the clouds. 12 thrones, each grand and distinct, circle the chamber, some made of seashells and driftwood, others of flames, or dark iron, or shimmering peacock feathers. The thrones sit empty for now, peaceful and unmoving, like kings and queens in sleep. You step between them with reverence, pausing in front of Poseidon's barnacle-encrusted and heavy with tide. Then Hades is dark and absent, more shadow than seat. In the center of the room, a small hearth crackles gently. It's Hestia's flame, constant and kind. You sit beside it, and it welcomes you without words. The warmth is not hot, it's ancestral. You feel the stories it has seen. Around you, the city of Olympus breathes. You wander through floating gardens that spill vines over the railings, with nectar-sweet flowers blooming in colors you've never named. Dryads flit past you like dandelion seeds. In one corner, a domed library spirals endlessly upward, scrolls rotating slowly in the air. You touch a parchment, and it begins to whisper a myth in a language that's both ancient and somehow known to your bones. In another direction, you find the stables of Pegasus, sleek white-winged creatures sleep standing, their wings tucked like dreams folded under moonlight. One of them opens an eye, then returns to sleep. You don't ride tonight, you only observe. And somewhere in the center of this celestial city is a temple with no name. It has no doors, only a breeze flowing through sheer curtains. When you step inside, you see your own memory, a place you loved as a child, reshaped in marble and light. Olympus adapts to belief. It shows you what you need, even if you don't know what that is yet. You leave slowly, walking beneath bridges strung with wind chimes that sing in Aeolian chords. You pause at the edge of the sky, where the city meets stars, and look down. Far, far below, the world glimmers. But tonight, another world waits. Olympus fades behind you like a sunset you didn't quite capture. You close your eyes and fall. Not like falling from danger, but like being lowered gently into the sea, like slipping into warmth. Down, down, farther than light. A current pulls you softly, not like drowning, but like being cradled in salt water. It carries you through midnight depths, past swirls of bioluminescence, through caverns where whales echo lullabies. Until finally, the water stills, and you arrive at a place very few mortals have seen. Ahead, carved into the ocean floor and glowing faintly in the dark, is Poseidon's palace, the realm beneath the waves, and the beginning of the third door. The sea presses against you like a second sky, soft and endless, cradling your thoughts in a weightless drift as Poseidon's realm unfolds in the deep. There is no cold here, no pressure, no fear, only warmth, as if the ocean itself recognizes you. Coral arches bloom from the seabed like living cathedrals, their tips glowing faintly with soft blues, pinks, and greens. Schools of fish shimmer past like loose threads in a dream. You move without swimming, drawn forward as if the tide has remembered your name. And there it is, Poseidon's palace, not a structure of dominance, but of beauty. Its towers rise not in pride, but in rhythm, shaped from pearl and kelp and old stone harvested from the bones of the sea. Giant seahorses guard the gates, their eyes blinking slowly in curiosity rather than suspicion. The palace doors part before you, like seagrass. Inside, the water hushes into near silence. The great hall stretches endlessly, its floor a mosaic of seashells and mother of pearl, depicting battles and tides and stories not written in books, but in currents. Above you, Jellyfish drift lazily along the ceiling, their tentacles trailing light. You hear faint music not from an instrument, but from the water itself, each ripple playing a note, each movement tuned to a harmony only the ocean knows. You wander slowly, passing through archways into chambers adorned with sculptures carved from coral and driftwood. Some rooms are open to the sea, their walls transparent, so you can gaze into the deep trenches where colossal creatures glide like shadows of forgotten myths. One chamber holds nothing but sand, warm, golden sand that carries the memory of shores no longer walked. In the center is a throne of solid greenstone, empty now, though you feel its weight. This is not just a palace. It is a home, a memory, a heartbeat. You find a hallway with softly pulsing lights. Each step you take reveals murals along the walls. One shows a young boy standing on a beach, looking out to sea. Another shows the same boy underwater, sword in hand, surrounded by monsters. Another, the boy no longer a child, raising a hand toward a storm. These aren't just pictures, they're echoes, pieces of Percy's story, still swimming through the water like distant whale songs. You reach a quiet room that opens to a shallow pool, and when you sit at its edge, the water laps at your fingers gently, like it's listening. You don't need to speak. The sea understands things even before they're said. You could stay here forever, but the tide begins to shift. A warm current curls around your ankles, coaxing you to rise. You follow it, and it begins to carry you upward, but not back the way you came. This current glows with golden light. Tiny flecks of sparkle swirl in it like stardust, and the temperature rises slowly as the pressure eases. You're being pulled forward now, not toward land, but toward light. Slowly, you break through the surface, not into the air, but into a glass ceiling. You blink. Music plays softly. Air hums with energy. Lights swirl in gentle loops above your head, like stars caught in a spin. You're in a lobby, no, a dream, no, something in between. Smooth marble floors stretch before you, glowing faintly under soft violet lighting. Children laugh somewhere in the distance, though they sound slowed down, as if played through a record turning just a little too slowly. The scent of roses and sugar and electricity fill your lungs. You turn, and behind you, there is no ocean, no door, no tide. Only a revolving glass entrance, still spinning. The world has changed again. You've arrived at the Lotus Hotel and Casino, a place where time doesn't pass. Perhaps where it passes so gently, you never notice it slipping. The fourth door has already opened. The Lotus Hotel and Casino breathes in rhythm with the pulse of forgotten time. And as you step farther in, you feel that rhythm curling gently around your thoughts, not urgent, not loud, just a slow lullaby that hums through the carpeted floors and velvet walls. You walk past fountains that bubble not with water, but with shimmering golden liquid, and the laughter of children twinkles from every hallway, softened by the music that never quite ends, never quite begins. The ceiling above you curves like a twilight sky, shifting between pink and blue and soft gold, as if painted by a memory trying to hold on to summer. Everything here is beautiful too, beautiful, perfectly polished, with no shadows, no stains, no clocks. You move slowly, not because your body demands it, but because your thoughts have grown sleepy. The air is thick with calm. A room to your left flickers with the glow of arcade machines, their lights pulsing like underwater signals. You hear someone cheer, someone win, someone laugh, but the sound feels distant, as though layered behind glass. Across from you is a buffet with mountains of desserts that seem frozen mid-bite, as if no one here ever feels full or finishes anything. You notice a man dancing by himself to a song playing only in his mind. He wears a disco suit and looks like he hasn't aged since 1977. You wonder if he has. All around you, guests drift between elevators and mirrored hallways with vacant smiles, as if they've forgotten what they were looking for, or perhaps no longer care. And yet, it doesn't feel frightening. It feels peaceful, like the stillness you feel when you float too long in a warm bath. The hotel wants you to stay, not because it needs anything from you, but because it is built to be enough. Enough to keep you content, entertained, distracted. But somewhere deep inside, you feel a question rising, a very old, very small question. What day is it? You pass a mirror and catch your own eyes for a moment. They're softer now, sleepier. You almost smile. Then something pulls you, not violently, not harshly, but with a sudden clarity, like when you wake up 1 second before your alarm. You step back from the mirror, you turn toward the exit, and the music falters for just a moment. A whisper in the air. Don't go. Stay just 1 more minute. But you're already walking, past a chandelier that never flickers, past slot machines spinning with symbols from dreams, past guests who no longer notice the difference between now and yesterday. The revolving door appears again, and this time it opens for you. Light pours in, not the golden haze of the casino, but dim flickering lantern light from somewhere older, deeper. You take one last look over your shoulder, then step through, and instantly the air changes. Gone are the soft walls and artificial clouds. Now stone surrounds you, cool, rough, breathing. The sound of your footsteps echoes slightly and then echoes again and again, but not from your direction. The walls are alive. The corridors pulse. You are no longer in a place of sleep. You are in a place that thinks. Ahead lies the labyrinth, a living maze older than Olympus, stretching beneath the world like a nervous system made of tunnels and turns, doors and doors and doors. This is not a hotel that traps you in comfort. This is a maze that watches. But tonight, even it is quiet. You've entered the fifth realm. The labyrinth does not greet you like the other realms did. There is no door that creaks open, no guide to welcome you, no scent to prepare your senses, only a slow realization that you are already inside it. One step beyond the hotel door, and the air turns to stone-scented silence. The hallway before you twists, faintly, as if it had just been rearranged a breath before your arrival. The floor is worn but warm, lit by lanterns that flicker not with flame, but with some steady inner glow, like candlelight trapped in amber. You walk forward without fear, not hurried, not hesitant, only curious. Because this is no ordinary maze. The labyrinth is alive not in a way that pulses or speaks, but in a way that feels. You sense it noticing you, not with eyes, but with presence. It watches not to judge, but to remember. It remembers every footstep that has ever echoed along its corridors. Daedalus's, Annabeth's, Percy's, Pan's, even ones too old for the myths. As you drift deeper, the air grows denser, but never oppressive. It's like walking through time rather than space. The walls shift, gently, not violently, not with threat, but with the softness of a page turning when the wind finds it. Rooms appear and vanish, their entrances blooming open as you near, only to fold away behind you. One such doorway opens on your left, revealing a stone chamber full of ivy, but the ivy grows in spirals, climbing along the walls in patterns too deliberate to be wild. You pause at the threshold. Inside, there is no furniture, just a circle carved into the floor, glowing faintly with golden chalk. You step inside and hear faintly the echo of laughter, like children playing hide-and-seek long, long ago. But there are no children here, only memory, only the gentle ache of something long forgotten, waiting to be remembered. You walk on. Another corridor appears to your right, wider than the last, and lined with statues, all of them damaged, all of them nameless. As you pass, you sense that they once had meaning, but the labyrinth has let their names erode, perhaps on purpose, perhaps in mercy. Still, none of them frighten you. The labyrinth does not feel cruel, only cautious, only patient. You continue downward now, the slope imperceptible until your ears pop slightly. The deeper you go, the older it feels. Not in dust or decay, the walls are clean, the stones smooth, but in energy. You pass a hallway filled with wind chimes, all singing faintly without any breeze. One chime carries a note you think you heard in Olympus. Another feels like it matches the tune of a song Calypso once hummed. You stop walking. Not because you're lost, there is no lost in the labyrinth. Only wandering. The path waits until you're ready. You rest your hand on the wall and feel a heartbeat. Not yours, not anyone's. The labyrinth's. It beats slow and steady, as if sleeping, as if dreaming along with you. Somewhere, deeper, you sense there are dangerous corners, traps, tricks. But tonight, the labyrinth is not angry. Tonight, it is calm. It wants to show you something. A staircase appears ahead, spiraling gently downward, carved from the same stone as the walls. You descend, and the temperature shifts cooler, but not cold. The steps carry you to a vast room, dome-shaped, with hundreds of doorways carved into its edges like honeycomb. Each door is labeled in a language you do not know, yet you understand. One says, memory. Another says, desire. A third says, fear. A fourth, home. You do not enter any. You sit in the center of the chamber. The floor here is polished glass, and beneath it you see not stone, but stars, as if the labyrinth is not underground at all, but suspended above the night sky. You exhale slowly, and the stars flicker back. The chamber goes quiet, not dead, not empty, just full of silence. And in that silence, something ancient and kind sits beside you, not a being, not a shape, just a feeling. Like being watched over, like being understood, like being forgiven for things you haven't said out loud. The labyrinth has no face, but if it did, it would not frown. It would nod. You remain there in that breathless moment for what could be minutes or centuries, because time here is not counted, it is felt. When you rise again, the chamber dims. The stars below you fade. One of the doorways, the one labeled memory, opens on its own. It reveals not a room, but a soft tunnel of mossy green light, which stretches forward into mystery and into the next part of your journey. You step through the doorway marked memory, and the labyrinth shifts again, not with sound, but with sensation, like a dream choosing its own next scene while you sleep. The tunnel is narrow at first, its walls alive with moss that glows faintly green, casting a soft light on your skin as you walk. There is no urgency here. The air is calm, thick with the scent of earth after rain and the faintest trace of salt, as if the tunnel itself remembers the sea. As you move forward, the tunnel begins to widen, and the moss turns to soft vines that curl across the ceiling like drifting hair. A stream flows silently beside you now, no wider than a ribbon, but so clear you can see each tiny pebble, each ghost-like fish moving without ripple. You pass alcoves carved into the stone, and within them visions, not illusions, not ghosts, but fragments of lives that once passed through this place. One alcove shows Annabeth, younger, sitting on a ledge with a map in her lap and fear in her throat, but her eyes still hold fire. Another shows Daedalus himself, his fingers streaked with ash, as he builds a door with no end. Another shows Grover whispering to a flower growing through the cracks. You do not interfere. The labyrinth does not offer these memories for judgment, only for witnessing. And the more you walk, the more you feel it, the truth that this maze does not trap you. Not really. It reflects you. The turns you take are not random. They are chosen by your thoughts, your fears, your hopes. You turn left, and suddenly the corridor is lined with paintings, not on canvas, but etched directly into the walls, glowing gold and rust and soft sky blue. Each painting moves slightly, like dreams caught mid-motion. One shows a group of demigods holding hands around a fire, their faces unknown, but their hearts familiar. Another shows an empty bed in cabin 3, with a folded blanket at the edge, waiting. Another the sea, endless, silent, still. The paintings begin to blur as you pass, not because you're walking faster, but because you're growing sleepier. The air here is heavier now, not dangerous, just slower, like it's asking you to rest. You pass a door that opens on its own and find yourself in a quiet chamber filled with cushions and books stacked in spirals. You sit, just for a moment. The labyrinth lets you. You open a book and find no words, only pages that feel warm to the touch, as if they remember every hand that ever turned them. A breeze flows through the chamber, but there is no window. It smells of the sea again. You look up. A light forms at the far wall, not bright, not sharp, just a soft shimmer, like the glow beneath a sunset. You rise and walk toward it. The cushions vanish behind you. The walls breathe once more. The labyrinth is letting you go. The final corridor opens like a sigh, and you follow it without question, without fear. The ground becomes softer, less stone, more sand. The moss disappears. A new scent rises, fuller now salt water, mango trees, something ancient and lonely and sweet. You emerge through a cave mouth at the edge of the world. The wind greets you with the sound of gulls and the hush of waves. And there spread before you, like a secret never meant to be found, is Ogygia, Calypso's island. Time slows. The labyrinth door closes behind you without sound, without regret. You have left the maze and stepped into a dream that forgot how to end. The island unfolds before you like a lullaby sung by the sea itself, not grand, not loud, but endlessly gentle. Ogygia does not shimmer with magic in the way that Olympus does, or pulse with ancient memory like the labyrinth. Instead, it welcomes you in the softest way possible, with silence, with warmth, with slowness. The sand beneath your feet is white and fine as powdered pearl, warm from the touch of a sun that never seems to rise or fall, only lingers in a permanent golden hush. The waves that lap at the shore make no splash, only soft rhythms that match the quiet beating of your heart. You step forward, and the island seems to breathe in response. Palm trees bend toward you slightly, as if acknowledging your presence, and birds with feathers, like paintbrush tips, circle lazily overhead before vanishing into the treetops. The air is fragrant, sweet but never cloying, a perfect blend of salt and citrus, jasmine, and something almost like starlight, if starlight had a scent. You don't know how long you've been walking time here, forgets to keep track, but eventually you find a pathway of stepping stones that meanders through a lush garden with flowers that lean gently as you pass. At the garden's edge is a cottage, modest but filled with light, every window open to the breeze. A hammock sways on the porch, though no one lies in it. You step closer, and the wind carries the sound of humming. A voice both ancient and young, full of loneliness and longing, but also peace. Calypso's voice. You pause, not to intrude, but to listen. Her song drifts through the leaves and across the sand like something woven from memory. It tells no clear story, but you understand it all the same. It is a song of waiting, of watching stars pass overhead while the world forgets you, of greeting every visitor as if they might be the last. You step inside the cottage not through force, but because the island allows it, and find yourself in a room full of soft details. Books, stacked neatly but opened often. Maps pinned to the walls, tracing coastlines from centuries past. Dried herbs hanging from the rafters, their scent blending into the air like an old spell that no longer needs to be spoken. There's a small table set for one, and beside it, a journal half filled with pressed flowers and faded ink sketches of faces you can't quite name. And yet, everything here feels familiar. Even without meeting her, you feel Calypso's presence in every thread of this island, not just as its inhabitant, but as its soul. The island loves her, and she loves it back, even as it cages her. You step outside again, drawn toward the edge of a cliff where the ocean stretches into forever. Below, waves roll lazily against black volcanic rock, and seabirds trace invisible patterns in the air. You sit, and time stretches thin, not broken, just slowed into a silk thread of now. The sun never moves, the shadows never lengthen, and stillness becomes its own kind of motion. You feel the island listening to you, not with ears, but with stillness. It wants nothing. It asks for nothing. It only offers itself a place to rest, to forget, to forgive. And in the distance, just past the horizon, where the sea folds into sky, something waits. Not urgent, not calling, but there the promise of the next moment, the next part of your path. But for now, you stay. The island holds you like a lullaby, wrapped in salt and sunlight. You remain on the cliff's edge longer than you intended, though time here never minds how long you stay. It stretches and folds around you, like the tide that never pulls back too far. The sky above Ogygia glows in a color that doesn't exist anywhere else, something between honey and stardust, and the clouds drift so slowly they seem carved from mist. A breeze weaves through your hair, like a patient hand brushing through forgotten stories, and the world breathes without effort. Somewhere deeper on the island, Calypso tends to a grove of pomegranate trees, each one heavy with fruit that will never rot, never fall, unless she allows it. Her footsteps are light, but the island feels them, and the flowers lean in slightly as she passes, not to impress her, but to keep her company. The birds sing in soft tones, as though careful not to disturb the rhythm of the waves. You wander again, and the paths seem to shift just enough to make each direction feel both new and remembered. There's a glade where wind chimes made from shells hang from vines and sing lullabies to the wind. There's a stream that runs in a circle around a single rock, never spilling over its banks, forever flowing, never arriving anywhere new. In the shade of a tamarind tree, you find an old canoe carved from a tree long lost to the sea, pulled up onto the sand. its inside filled with dry leaves and feathers. A journal rests inside, its cover soft with age, filled with the small, careful handwriting of someone who once sat here, often. The pages hold dreams, poems, wishes, none angry, none desperate, all written as if time had already dulled every wound. It's Calypso's, or maybe someone else's. You close it gently. The island does not hold on to pain like the world does. It allows it to settle, to soften, to fade. You wander farther still, to a cave whose mouth yawns beneath a ledge of fern-covered stone. Inside, the ceiling drips with glowing mineral threads that resemble stars, and the air is cool and still. You feel as though you're inside the island's memory, a place where even time comes to sleep. When you speak, if you speak, your voice doesn't echo. It settles. You stay a while longer because your heart has forgotten urgency and your breath matches the tide. But at some point, perhaps only a thought, not a decision, and you begin to feel the sea pulling again. Not in resistance, but in invitation. The tide curls around the edges of your mind. The horizon seems to shift, just barely, as if something has been unlocked. Calypso hums somewhere out of view, the same song as before, but this time it sounds like goodbye. Not a bitter goodbye, a tender one. The kind that asks nothing of you except to remember. You return to the shore. The waves, once rolling lazily, have stilled now, as if waiting. At your feet rests a raft. It wasn't there before, but the island offers it with grace. No sails, no oars, just a platform of smooth driftwood tied together with woven vines and a single soft lantern glowing at its center. You step onto it. The island exhales. You do too. And the raft begins to drift. You don't need to steer. The sea carries you slowly, as though reluctant to let you go too fast. The breeze tastes different now, heavier, not bitter, but deeper. The sunlight grows dimmer, not because it's setting, but because something else is rising to meet you. The sky above curls downward, the colors fading to gray, to silver, to something ancient and bone deep. The waters turn darker, the stars disappear, and you realize that the raft is not floating toward the horizon. It is sinking gently below it, down, down, like a feather falling into twilight. The surface above becomes a film, then a memory, and you feel no fear, only reverence, because the next place you will visit is not above, not beyond, it is below. A door made not of wood or marble, but of silence itself opens before you. You pass through it with a breath you didn't know you'd been holding. And just like that, you arrive in the underworld, not as a soul, not as a stranger, but as a dreamer, carried by myth. The seventh realm welcomes you, not with fire or fear, but with stillness. The underworld greets you, not with terror, but with gravity, not the weight of fear, but the weight of quiet understanding. As the raft slows and vanishes into mist, you find yourself standing on smooth stone, the air around you cooler now, but never cold, as if the very space around your skin remembers warmth and simply chooses to let it fade. There is no wind here, no rushing of time, only an eternal hush, like the pause between heartbeats. Ahead of you, a pathway of obsidian stretches into a cavern vast enough to hold forgotten cities and silent skies, yet it feels enclosed in the gentlest way, like being wrapped inside a shell of memory. The sky above is not black, not starless. It glows faintly with a silvery mist that dances in slow waves, like starlight trapped beneath water. The river Styx runs parallel to the path, wide and calm tonight, its dark surface reflecting nothing. Not you, not the world, just itself. Karen's boat is nowhere to be seen, but you sense his presence far in the distance, gliding silently across the water, ferrying souls without hurry. On the opposite bank, faint silhouettes line up in a procession, none speaking, none panicking, simply waiting for their turn to cross. They are not tortured, only distant, as though already halfway into the next part of something. The ground beneath you does not echo your steps. Instead, it seems to absorb them, the way dreams absorb time, effortlessly, endlessly. You pass an archway carved with symbols not meant to be read, only felt. And you understand that you are being allowed here not because you belong, but because the realm recognizes your gentleness, your peace. The fields of asphodel open ahead like a breath held for centuries. They are not barren, not desolate, but vast and gray-green, filled with tall grasses that sway without wind, as if remembering breezes from lifetimes ago. Trees line the distance, skeletal, yes, but dignified, their branches reaching toward nothing in particular. You walk among them, and the quiet around you thickens. The souls here do not speak. They drift, some with eyes open, some with eyes closed, all of them calm. They do not notice you, not out of rudeness, but because their thoughts no longer cling to things like names or shapes. They exist as memory echoes, not sad, not joyful, just suspended. You pass through gently, never disturbing the grasses beneath your feet. Somewhere far beyond this place lie the fields of punishment, but you are not called there. Their fires burn low tonight, and their gates remain closed. Instead, your path begins to shift again. The light changes faint gold now, faint warmth. You're walking uphill, and ahead, a new realm begins to bloom. Elysium. The path is lined with golden poppies, their petals swaying like candle flames. The sky above is no longer mist, but soft sunlight, and you feel the shift in your chest, a lifting, like a deep breath drawn after years of holding back. You arrive not at a palace or a gate, but at a meadow that goes on forever, filled with laughter so quiet it might just be the sound of the breeze playing tricks on the flowers. Figures walk here, souls glowing faintly, unburdened by life or memory. They don't seem to be seeking anything. They have already found it. You sit for a while in the grass, and it welcomes your weight. The ground is soft, the colors warmer than anything above ground could hold. A small tree grows beside you, just large enough to shade one person. Its bark pulses faintly, like a heart remembering a song. You rest your back against it and close your eyes, just briefly. The underworld, it seems, offers more than just endings. It offers pause. It offers reflection. It offers rest. In the far distance, beyond the quiet joy of this endless field, you feel another presence, something deeper, something older, a place even further beneath the roots of myth. And though the thought does not frighten you, it makes you rise. The path forward curves gently now, and the light fades once more, not to darkness, but to velvet gray. You rise from the field of peace, and without needing to look back, you thank it. The journey is not over. You are being pulled now, not by danger, but by gravity again, the call of something ancient, something final. Beyond Elysium lies the place of deepest rest, where even heroes go quiet. And so, you follow the next path, one step at a time, toward the threshold of the Isles of the Blessed. The path from Elysium to the Isles of the Blessed feels like stepping through layers of cloud, each one softer, quieter, more reverent than the last. The golden poppies slowly give way to gentler blooms, ones that pulse with silver blue light, like moonflowers unfolding in eternal dusk. The air here is thinner but cleaner, as if even the atoms have shed their weight. No footsteps echo, no wind stirs. The silence deepens, not in volume, but in meaning, a kind of sacred hush that feels like walking through a forgotten prayer. Ahead, a bridge of white stone arcs across a still, mirror-like pool, and each step across it reflects not just your body, but your thoughts, not literal, not spoken, but emotional echoes in the water. Moments you've loved, people you've forgiven, things you let go of. You cross with a breath held gently, and on the other side, the aisles of the blessed stretch before you, like something too beautiful to exist above ground. These aren't islands in the traditional sense. They are pieces of light caught in a sea of calm. Trees rise like columns of music. Flowers bloom in impossible colors that feel more like feelings than sights. The souls here are few, but radiant. Some sit beneath willow trees that weep softly into the sea. Others float above the ground in meditation or dance without music across bridges that glow with every step. No one speaks unless they choose to, and when they do, their words ripple gently through the air, like birdsong turned into silk. You wander slowly. Time here doesn't just slow, it pauses when needed. You pass a small temple made of woven vines and wind, its inside holding only a single flame that never wavers. A sign near the entrance reads, simply, "Rest." You do. You sit beneath a canopy of stars that feel close enough to touch, and for a while, you let go of even the idea of movement. You let your breath fall into rhythm with the sea. You let your thoughts unwind. If this were the final place, you would be content. But you feel it again, the shift. Not a pull, but an invitation, a whisper from beyond the water. Not soft and warm like the isles, but cold, ancient, buried deep in the bones of the world. You rise slowly. As you walk, the light begins to fade, not all at once, but like a tide pulling away from the shore, revealing darker sands beneath. The bridge behind you vanishes. The sea turns to black glass. Ahead, a small boat waits carved from ice, glowing with faint blue veins like frozen lightning. You step inside, and it begins to drift without guidance, as if it knows where you're meant to go. The temperature drops. Slowly, respectfully, as though the world itself is preparing you. The warmth of the underworld recedes, and with each passing moment, the mist around you thickens into snow. The water turns to frozen sheets beneath the boat, and the silence grows colder, crisper. You are leaving the lands of spirits and entering the land of silence. Not the silence of peace, but the silence of forgotten power. The boat lands at a frozen shore. Before you, a glacier rises like a wall, a door carved into the heart of the earth, sealed for millennia. You step off the boat, and your breath curls into frost. The sky above is not black, but the color of deep steel. Stars do not twinkle here. They watch. A path of cracked white stone winds up the frozen slope, leading you toward the threshold of an ancient force. The world narrows. Time retreats. And before you now lies Antarctica, the heart of the Titans. Antarctica stretches before you like a world that time forgot, wrapped in silence so complete it presses softly against your skin like snowfall. The air is colder now, not painfully so, but deep, ancient cold, the kind that doesn't sting but sinks into your bones like a long-lost memory. You climb the path slowly, every step crunching gently beneath your feet, each sound swallowed immediately by the icy vastness. The glacier walls around you rise higher with every turn, carved by wind that no longer moves, by storms that ended before stories were written. The stone here isn't just cold, it's smooth as if polished by millennia of stillness. And ahead, carved into the base of a towering white cliff, is a doorway tall, sharp-edged, glowing faintly with pale blue runes that don't hum, don't shimmer. They wait. You press your palm to the frozen surface, and the stone ripples like disturbed water before parting in silence. No hinges, no sound, just openness. Inside, the temperature drops again, but you no longer feel it. You've stepped into something older than Olympus, older than the labyrinth, older than dreams, the Titan prison. But this is not Tartarus, not yet. This is the shell above it, the still world built to forget the Titans even existed. The chamber is vast, a dome of ice-lit stone where the walls glisten with the trapped echoes of war. Spears frozen mid-fall, shields encased in clear frost, helmets that once held thoughts of conquest, now coated in centuries of stillness. You walk slowly among them, a visitor in a museum the gods never wanted anyone to see. These aren't trophies. These are warnings. Yet the space is not angry. It is reverent, like a battlefield left untouched, where even the wind doesn't dare to speak. You pass beneath a sculpture frozen into the wall atlas, bent but not crumbling, his arms still raised toward a sky that can no longer be seen. The silence thickens as you move deeper, past crystal arches that droop like icicles, through corridors shaped by forgotten hands. The air here is dense, as though history itself lingers in the frost. No torches burn. The light comes from within the walls, a soft, eerie glow that paints your reflection into every surface, as if the stone itself remembers every face that's come before. You reach a hall with pillars carved from frozen obsidian, each etched with names not in Greek or Latin, but in a language that predates sound. Each name thrums softly in your chest as you pass. You do not read them. You feel them. Oceanus, Hyperion, Koios, Krios, Mnemosyne. Names the world forgot, but the ice remembers. And as you pass beneath the final archway, you arrive in a chamber unlike any you've yet seen. A circle of stone, bare but for one thing in the center, a crack in the floor. Thin, long, quiet. It doesn't glow. It doesn't pulse, but it breathes, barely. This is the ceiling of Tartarus. You do not descend, not yet, but you sit near it at a safe distance and listen. The sound is not of screams, not of rage, but of gravity, a sound so low it feels more like weight than noise. It pulls at memory. It tugs gently at every thought you've had about power, about time, about the cost of silence. You close your eyes, and for a moment, you feel at the presence of something vast, slumbering far below. Not active, not vengeful, but waiting. This is not evil. This is not chaos. This is balance. This is the space where light has no meaning unless it's earned. You sit in stillness, letting the cold pass through you, letting your thoughts become quiet. You have seen the top of the void, and it has not swallowed you. And now, somewhere behind you, another doorway waits, one carved not of stone or ice, but of vines, of green, of something impossibly alive. You rise slowly, the air beginning to warm just slightly, like a promise forming in the distance. The Titans fade behind you, and far ahead, in a forest the gods tried to bury, the wild waits. Shuait. You step away from the crack in the stone, the breath of Tartarus fading behind you like a forgotten drumbeat. its rhythm still echoing faintly in your bones. The air grows thinner, but no longer icy. Each step away from the heart of the Titans feels like pulling yourself back from the edge of time itself, not in fear, but in deep reverence, like closing a sacred book, written in the first language the world ever spoke. The corridor reshapes behind you, and the glow from the ice becomes dappled now, shifting. Shadows dance in gentle patterns across the walls, and the scent in the air changes crisp still, but now laced with the smell of pine needles, dew-damp moss, and something softer, green. You walk forward, and the polished floor of frozen obsidian softens under your feet, slowly giving way to soil. Frost gives way to fallen leaves. Walls of ice melt into hedges, into trunks, into trees. The silence no longer hums with weight now, it hums with possibility. You step past the last glacier wall, and suddenly you are no longer beneath the earth but deep within it, surrounded by something wild, something alive. The forest here isn't like any you've walked before. It grows in circles, in spirals, in gentle looping paths that seem to guide without commanding. Light filters through the canopy, not from the sun, but from a million tiny sources, bioluminescent petals, glowing fungi, fireflies that drift like floating sparks of breath. Vines curl overhead in arches, forming natural hallways that feel like temples built not by gods, but by time and tenderness. No footsteps echo here. The ground welcomes them, drinks them in like old stories returning to the roots. You do not feel alone. The wild watches you, not with eyes, but with attention. Its heartbeat pulses faintly beneath your own, slower, older, wider. This is the realm once ruled by Pan, the god who never shouted to be known, but whispered to be remembered. His presence lingers in every tree hollow, every ripple of a stream, every bird that pauses just long enough for you to see its wings. You walk deeper into the grove, guided not by paths, but by instincts, and pass a clearing where old stone ruins rest, overtaken by ivy and golden flowers that sway even when no wind moves. A single reed pipe lies on the mossy ground, still warm somehow, as if it had just been played. You kneel beside it, but you do not touch it. You only listen. The forest hums not in melody, but in meaning. Pan may be gone, but the wild is not dead. It's waiting, not to be restored, not to be ruled, but to be respected. The deeper you go, the more the forest unfolds, not wider, but closer. Branches lower to cradle you. Leaves brush against your shoulders like soft voices saying, "Thank you for walking gently." The ground is alive with forgotten roots, old paths from satyrs and dryads long since past, and yet you feel none of their absence, only their footprints, like echoes stitched into bark and stone. You pass a grove of trees whose trunks are twisted into spirals, their branches wrapped together like dancers paused mid-spin. A pond rests in the middle of them, glassy and still, reflecting not your face, but your breath. You kneel beside it, and for a moment, the surface ripples with a memory of a young satyr carrying seeds in a pouch, of him planting them one by one, not in rows, but in circles. You do not know his name, but the wild does. It remembers. The pond glows softly, and the ripple fades. You rise and walk again, slower now, because here, in the wild, movement is part of the conversation. The more gently you step, the more the forest responds. A branch moves to clear your path. A mushroom glows brighter as you pass. Nothing here demands attention, but everything offers it. You reach a hill at the heart of the grove where the trees part to reveal an ancient altar, covered in moss and stone carvings worn down by wind and worship. A garland of dried flowers rests atop it, not placed by a hand, but left by time. You sit, you breathe, and the forest exhales with you. There are no hymns here, no battles, no grand monuments, just growth. The kind that continues whether it is seen or not. The kind that trusts. You feel your pulse matching the soil now, your thoughts becoming quieter than the wind. And just beyond this sacred hill, behind a curtain of vines, the forest opens again, not into more trees, but into something unexpected. You feel warmth return to the air, the soft scent of ash and iron. You hear a crackling, not threatening, but rhythmic. You rise and step forward through the last arch of hanging leaves, and before you lies a mountainside. But not just any mountain. This one glows at the edges, its stone marked with scorch lines and shadows of long-fallen banners. At its base are great doors made of black steel, crested with faint etchings of a golden scythe. The vines behind you withdraw like fingers pulling gently from your shoulder. The wild has let you go. Your next realm is not one of growth, but of memory carved into blades and silence beaten into stone. You've arrived at Mount Orthus, the fallen court of the Titans. Mount Orthus looms before you, like a memory carved into the sky, jagged, vast, and silent, its summit swallowed by the clouds, its foundations buried in wars the world no longer speaks of. You approach slowly, your steps softened by the ashes of old battles that no longer burn. The doors at the base of the mountain, forged from blackened bronze, etched with symbols of fallen empires, stand half open, not in welcome, but in surrender, as though whatever once guarded this place no longer has the will to do so. You pass through them without resistance, and the air changes. It thickens, not with heat or cold, but with age. You're breathing the dust of history now, the weight of promises broken and victories that tasted like bitterness. The halls inside are massive, far grander than Olympus, but colder, emptier, untouched by worship. Columns stretch higher than any torch could reach, their tops lost in darkness. Murals line the walls, chipped and cracked, showing scenes of a time before the gods took the throne. Kronos with his sickle raised, the sky bleeding gold, the other titans marching across a land of giants and storms. You wander through these ancient courts, each chamber echoing a little differently, as though the stone itself remembers different voices in each room, some proud, some cruel, some tired. Statues stand in the corners, not marble, but obsidian, shaped not to honor, but to intimidate. You feel their eyes on you as you pass, but they do not move. They do not judge. They only remember. And the deeper you go, the more the mountain breathes, not with life, but with absence. You come to a room with a throne, not elegant like Zeus's or ocean-washed like Poseidon's, but brutal and blocky, carved from one unbroken slab of mountain rock. It is cracked down the center, as if split by a blade or an earthquake or a final betrayal. You do not sit. Instead, you circle it, feeling the pressure of 1,000 moments stitched into the silence around it. You see now that this place was not destroyed in chaos. It was abandoned, left untouched by time, not out of reverence, but out of refusal. The gods above want no part in this memory. The Titans who ruled here, Krios, Hyperion, Iapetus, are not chained in dungeons anymore. They are lost in deeper myths, softened by centuries. But here, in Orthus, their names still hang in the air like smoke. You find a long hallway lined with empty weapon racks and faded banners. The floor beneath your feet is scorched in patches, not from current fires, but old ones, the kind that came with rebellion and retreat. And at the end of that hallway, you reach a balcony. It stretches out beyond the edge of the mountain, built from stone that looks like it should have crumbled long ago. You step out onto it, and the world opens. Before you lies a view not of the sea, not of Olympus, but of the raw, unclaimed wilderness below forests still untouched, rivers winding like veins through the land, mountains far away that still wear their own crowns of mist. This is the view the Titans once held, not as kings of peace, but as forces of nature. They didn't rule from above, they ruled from within, as storms, as gravity, as time itself. And though their age has passed, this mountain still remembers what it felt like to see the world not as it is, but as it was meant to be before choice was introduced. You stand at the edge and let the wind brush against you, dry and wild and filled with ancient dust. You feel no hatred here, only mourning, the kind that comes from knowing you were once vast and then vanished. Mount Orthus does not scream. It does not punish. It broods. And in its brooding, you find a strange peace, the peace of knowing that not all power was meant to be reborn. Some power sleeps, not to return, but because the world no longer needs its shape. And as you turn back from the balcony, the mountain begins to fade behind you, not in light or shadow, but in weight. Your steps grow lighter. The stone no longer pulls at your feet. The walls soften, and somewhere ahead, a doorway waits, not carved from stone, but from silence, the kind that follows a final page turning. You are leaving the ruins of ambition, and ahead, buried beneath the big house itself, is something even older, a vault not of power, but of forgotten scrolls and gentle secrets. You are heading into the archives. You leave the balcony behind, as if closing a chapter not just in space, but in time, not with a door, not with a lock, but with understanding. Mount Orthus does not follow you. It does not reach back. It allows you to go, the way a story lets its reader turn the final page. The long halls behind you blur, their edges softening into memory. The stone fades from sharp obsidian to warm, muted earth. Gravity itself loosens. It feels as though the mountain is exhaling for the last time, and you are carried gently down its breath. You do not walk the entire descent. Instead, you pass through a mist that smells faintly of iron and eucalyptus, and on the other side, you find yourself in a clearing not one carved by force, but grown patiently over years, as if the land itself pressed pause and waited for you to arrive. There are no titans here, no thrones or ancient carvings, only pine needles beneath your feet and the familiar scent of Camp Half-Blood just beyond the trees. You've returned, but not above ground. You are standing behind the cabins, beside the old tree line, near a spot that most campers pass without notice. A patch of uneven soil and ivy-covered stones that once resembled a cellar door, now almost completely reclaimed by nature. But tonight, the ivy parts. A soft creak echoes under your feet, and a wooden trapdoor reveals itself, untouched by sunlight for years. You open it, and cool air rises, thick with parchment and history. A spiral staircase descends below the big house, not to the infirmary, not to Chiron's quarters, but to something older, something buried. You begin your descent, each step worn smooth by time. The walls here are made not of polished marble or cold cement, but of red brick, warm and weathered, like the side of an old library where stories sleep. Lanterns flicker to life as you pass, sensing your presence, casting golden circles of light that ripple like warm echoes. At the bottom of the stairs is a wooden archway, and carved above it, so faint it's almost illegible, is a word that simply says, Archives. You step inside. The temperature lowers, but only slightly, just enough to keep the pages preserved. Shelves stretch before you, carved directly into the walls, filled with scrolls, books, dusty tomes with cracked leather spines, and bundles of yellowed paper tied with twine. Some are labeled with gods' names, others with cabin numbers, and still others with phrases like unclaimed, lost quests, or dreams not sent. You walk between them, the silence here unlike any other realm. Not the silence of stillness, but of listening. The room feels alive with memory, as though the words on the pages around you are leaning closer, curious to see who has come. You pass a table covered in star maps drawn by campers who never made it to Olympus, their constellations filled with hope and midnight pencil lines. A drawer is slightly open, revealing a deck of homemade oracle cards sketched by a demigod who once thought she could change her fate with art. Another shelf is labeled simply, Letters Never Mailed. And as you pass it, one scroll flutters open by itself, a short letter from a son of Hermes to his mortal mother, signed but never sent. You feel no sorrow here, only quiet love, gently stored away. You come to a cabinet made of sea-polished wood. Inside it are journals, small, personal, bound in blue and green cloth. You pull one at random. Its cover reads, Percy, age 13. Inside are scrawled notes about dreams, sword techniques, silly fears, and doodles of Blackjack, the Pegasus, wearing sunglasses. You smile. The room smiles back. It is not haunted. It is honored. You move deeper and come to a door round and short, built like a vault. But the lock is gone. It swings open at your touch. This final chamber holds a single object, a globe, but not of the earth, not as mortals know it. This globe shows only the world of Camp Half-Blood, of Olympus, of the realms you visited. It spins slowly, on its own, glowing with soft gold lines that trace every passage, every hidden tunnel, every forgotten room. As you approach, the globe pulses, and a new path reveals itself, leading out of the archives, through the roots of the hill, and into a forest that shouldn't exist inside the camp borders. But you recognize its shape. You've seen it in dreams, in drawings, in stories told quietly around the campfire. You follow the new path. It leads you through a tunnel carved of roots and soil until the light grows fainter and greener. The air changes, no longer dusty with memory, but thick with life. You emerge at the base of a grove, not just any grove, but the one where Pan once gave his final blessing, the very heart of the wild. You have reached Section 10. The big house basement may be behind you, but ahead lies the compass room where every quest once began, and every dream still waits to be chosen. The grove welcomes you not with fanfare, but with stillness, the kind of stillness that settles over the world just before dawn, when the stars are still watching, but the earth has already begun to dream forward. The tunnel of roots you emerge from curls, quietly shut behind you, as if sealing off the archives, not with finality, but with gratitude. Ahead, nestled in the soft rise of a moss-covered clearing, is a round stone structure half swallowed by ivy and time. Its domed roof is cracked with age, and clusters of wildflowers grow through the fractures, as though even nature wanted to decorate the silence. You step toward it, the ground beneath you blanketed with pine needles and silver-edged leaves that seem to hush your footsteps. The door to the compass room is already open, not wide, but enough to say you're expected, or rather, that the room has been waiting. You enter, and the world changes again, not abruptly, but like a slow breath turning inward. Inside, the space is neither large nor small. It bends around you like a planet cradling its moon. The floor is a perfect circle of smooth marble, etched with concentric rings that glow faintly when you walk across them. The walls are lined with tall windows, but no sunlight filters through them. Instead, light pours in, like moonlight filtered through dreams, pale, cool, alive. And in the center of the room, there stands a pedestal. Upon it rests a golden compass the size of a dinner plate, its needle slowly turning without ever settling. It doesn't point north. It doesn't point anywhere you know. But the closer you get, the more you feel it vibrating not with energy, but with invitation. The room is silent, yet thick with presence. You realize this is where every quest begins, not with a prophecy, not with a monster, not even with a call to action, but with a quiet choice. A question asked by the soul before it even reaches the surface. Around the compass, the etched rings each hold inscriptions written not in English or Greek, but in intention. They say things like home, truth, forgiveness, return, freedom, remembrance. As you step closer, the needle of the compass slows. It doesn't stop, but it begins to pulse softly, almost like a heartbeat syncing with your own. You place your palm on the edge of the pedestal, and the room responds. The air thickens slightly, the walls darken around the edges, and then something unfolds above you, a dome of stars, but not the night sky you know. These stars are shaped like memories, like paths not yet walked, like versions of you suspended in possibility. The compass glows brighter, and slowly, gently, images begin to flicker across the floor around it. Shadowy maps, outlines of distant realms, fragments of quests long faded from record. You see a path winding through the sea of monsters, another that stretches toward the ruins of Mount Orthus, another still, glowing faintly blue, drifting toward the depths of Atlantis. And then, others places you've never heard of. Islands made of clouds, vaults buried beneath storm-shattered cities, deserts where time has stopped and waits to be restarted. But none of them rush you. None pull at your sleeve. The compass waits. The room waits. You wait. Because this is not the part where you decide where to go. This is the part where you ask why. And so you sit, not because you are tired, but because the moment asks for stillness. The compass hums like the inside of a seashell. A breeze moves through the room, though there are no doors open, no wind in the world outside. It smells faintly of cedarwood and old ink. You remember that every demigod who ever stepped into this chamber once sat in the same quiet Annabeth before her first blueprint of the labyrinth took shape in her dreams. Luke, before his path forked into shadow. Clarice, gripping her spear just a little too tightly before realizing her battle wasn't always meant to be external. They all began here not as heroes, not as warriors, but as children who needed direction. You look around, and the room doesn't just reflect the sky. Now it reflects 1,000 doors, some still open, some gently closed. This chamber does not judge the choices made. It only records them. A flicker to your left shows a memory not yours, but the rooms of a younger camper, clutching a necklace charm and whispering a wish into the compass, only for the room to grow quiet and the path to light up beneath them. They didn't speak again. They only walked. Another image, a camper curled on the floor, crying softly, not from fear, but from relief, as the compass needle finally pointed home, not to Olympus, not to glory, just home. You blink. And now the compass needle points outward, not at you, not away from you, but beyond you, toward the next unknown space. The dome above you softens. The stars dim. The room exhales. You are no longer being asked to choose. You are being guided now. And in the far wall of the chamber, a hidden doorway creaks open, shaped not like an arch or a gate, but like a spiral staircase descending downward into candlelight. The compass dims behind you as you rise. You take one last look at the room, at the place where paths are born, not in battle cries, but in quiet promises. And then you begin your descent. The stairway winds deeper, but not into stone this time, into memory, into golden scrolls and cracked maps, into myths no one retold, because no one ever made it to the last door. But tonight, you just might. The spiral staircase unfurls beneath your feet like a quiet thought deepening. The stone steps no longer hard or cold, but worn down by footsteps that have come and gone in silence, not rushed, not panicked, only curious, only sure. The deeper you go, the lighter you feel, as if each turn downward loosens another thread of tension you didn't know you were carrying. Your heartbeat slows to match the rhythm of the flame-lit air, and the only sound is the hush of your own breath folding into the walls. These stairs are not descending into darkness. They are winding through time. Carvings appear along the edges, low and subtle, not meant to be read, but to be felt. Scenes of quests not yet taken. Heroes sitting still instead of striking. Moments of doubt, of courage, of dreams turned softly sideways. And at the end of the staircase, the space opens not into a chamber or a hall, but into a pocket of the world that feels untouched by gods or war or prophecy. You've arrived in a round room beneath the compass, a mirror reflection of the one above, but softer, dimmer, older. The walls are layered in bookshelves that climb like vines to the ceiling, each book glowing faintly, each scroll tied with thread spun from different hues, green for nature quests, silver for knowledge, crimson for battles that required no sword. You run your hand along the bindings, and the spines warm beneath your fingers like quiet thanks. In the center of the room lies something unexpected, a garden. Small, circular, overgrown, but alive. A single tree rises from its heart, its bark shimmering with inscriptions that shift when you try to focus. Its roots twist through the stone and disappear beneath your feet, reaching far beyond the camp, the forest, the mountain, the oceans. This tree is not a symbol. It is a memory of growth, kept alive by every camper who ever dared to ask, "What now?" You kneel at its edge, and the branches tilt just slightly towards you, dropping a single leaf into your hand, golden, weightless, shaped like an arrowhead pointing in every direction. You hold it to your heart. The room breathes, and slowly the ceiling above begins to dissolve, revealing the sky you saw in the compass room, but softer now, dreamlike, covered in thin silver clouds that drift like memories trying to return. You lie back beside the tree, and the moss beneath you is warmer than any bed. The walls no longer rise. They drift outward as if the room itself is letting go. Above you, constellations form and reform, shaped like cabins, like harpy wings, like laughter frozen in time. You don't need to chase them. They come to you. One shows a girl standing by a pine tree, smiling. Another, a boy beneath the waves, his eyes closed, calm. Another, still a satyr, and a dryad dancing beneath a moon that no longer watches. You are not being told what to remember. You are being reminded that you were always part of this. You close your eyes. The tree sighs. The books dim. The room begins to melt into softness, not vanishing, not crumbling, but becoming part of the stillness around you. And just as you begin to drift, a voice not spoken aloud, but felt within your chest, says, "You've walked through every door. You may rest now." The golden leaf in your hand glows once, gently, then vanishes like dust caught in moonlight. A final door opens, not with hinges, not with sound, but with breath. And you float forward, not stepping anymore, just gliding, just dreaming. You are entering the final space, not a realm, not a room, but a recollection. A quiet summary of every place you visited tonight. A soft goodbye stitched together with stars. And so begins Section 11, Dream Recap. You've wandered far tonight, not with urgency, not with haste, but with wonder, with softness, with the kind of courage that doesn't roar but simply keeps going. The golden door behind you fades without closing, and the air around you thickens into something warm and weightless, like a blanket made of memory. There is no ground here, not really. You're floating not in water, not in sky, but in a space between story and dream. All around you, the places you visited tonight drift in and out like clouds made of thought. You see Camp Half-Blood first, its cabins glowing in the dawn light, the strawberry fields heavy with morning dew, the pine tree at the border still standing tall as if watching over every dreamer who's ever come and gone. You pass above the big house, where the wind stirs the rocking chair just once as if to say, "We remember." You drift gently toward Olympus next, high above the clouds, where marble towers glow like starlight and gods sleep behind silent thrones. The hall of the gods glimmers in soft gold, and Hestia's hearth still flickers in the middle, its flame eternal, its warmth unchanged. The city in the sky does not beckon, it blesses. From there you float downward into the sea, and the ocean welcomes you without hesitation. Poseidon's palace shines in soft blues and greens, its coral walls curving like lullabies sung by whales. Seahorses drift through open windows. The tide hums a song only your heart can translate. You are not a visitor there. You are kin. From the sea, your memory carries you into a world wrapped in velvet lights and sweet music. The Lotus Hotel and Casino rises before you like a dream within a dream, its halls spinning with laughter, slowed by time, its guests lost in comfort they no longer question. But you pass through. You remember the way out, and that, too, matters. The labyrinth comes neck shifting, breathing, stretching beneath the world like the memory of thought itself. You see its twisting halls again, glowing with moss and candlelight, its shifting doors folding and unfolding like hands in prayer. You remember the way it listened. You remember the way it never hurried you. From the maze, your path winds to Ogygia, Calypso's island of slow time and golden sunsets, where waves never crash and sorrow blooms in the form of flowers. You see her cottage again, empty now, yet full of song. The hammock still sways. The garden still grows. She waits not for rescue, but for someone who understands that even islands deserve to be remembered. The sea gives way to shadow, and you find yourself remembering the underworld not in darkness, but in peace. The river Styx rolls quietly along, Charon's boat drifting like a whisper. The fields of asphodel ripple with still grass and open sky, where souls forget pain and float gently into what comes next. You pass over Elysium, golden and weightless, its meadows full of light that never fades. And further still, the Isles of the Blessed, where even heroes rest, where everything is soft, and even the wind bows in respect. From peace you fell into frost, and the breath of Antarctica meets you again, sharp, silent, sacred. You drift past frozen gates and icy walls carved by war, your reflection flickering in the ancient halls of Mount Orthus. The Titan's throne stands empty still. The obsidian watches you pass, but this time there is no weight in its gaze, only quiet. You left it behind, not in fear, but in knowing. You drift again, into green now, into roots and vines and places untouched. You float above the wild, where Pan's absence is its own form of presence. Trees murmur your name, streams shimmer beneath moonlight, undisturbed. The wild remembers you. It always will. And then, the mountain again. Mount Orthus beneath your feet, not in strength but in surrender. The shadows there do not reach for you anymore. The echo of the Titans is just that, an echo, fading into old stone. And beneath it all, you remember the archives, the dusty scrolls, the drawers of unmailed letters, the quiet weight of every unchosen path gently filed away beneath the big house. You see the compass room too, the great dome of stars above, the golden dial turning toward the unknown, the leaf it left you in your hand. You remember the pulse it matched to yours, the map that did not show a place but a purpose. And finally, you see the tree, the one rooted in every story, every step, every doubt, every hope. It still stands. Its branches stretch far beyond your dreams now, across oceans, across years. You are floating beneath those branches, drifting between what was and what might be, and above you, just barely visible through the leaves, the stars turn slowly, not because they must, but because someone is watching, because someone you came this far to remember them. Your breath slows, your shoulders soften. The journey no longer calls to you, it holds you. The doors you open no longer demand to be passed through. They are part of you now, and you are allowed to rest. And now, everything slows, not because the journey is over, but because it no longer needs to move forward. You're not walking anymore. You're not drifting. You're simply floating in the space between dream and memory, wrapped in every place you've seen tonight, every door you opened, every path you trusted, every silence that welcomed you in without asking questions. The air around you is weightless now, soft as candle smoke, warm as a thought you almost forgot but were glad to remember. There's nothing to follow anymore. No maps, no compasses, no decisions to make. All those choices have folded themselves gently into your breath, your heartbeat, your stillness. You are suspended in calm, not the empty kind, but the full kind, the kind that hums with stars and moonlight and the whisper of pine trees leaning over cabins that are quiet for the night. Somewhere above, Camp Half-Blood still glows with the faintest lantern light. A soft pulse from a cabin window, the crackle of a dying campfire, a sleepy Pegasi wing shifting beneath the moon. Olympus still rests among the clouds, unmoving, vast, silent as snow. Poseidon's palace still floats beneath the ocean like a pearl cradled by coral. The labyrinth still breathes, but it does not twist. Tonight it sleeps. The wild still listens, still grows in places no one knows to look. The underworld still flows, not with sorrow, but with rhythm. The Titans still dream their frozen dreams in Orthus, and the compass room still turns slowly, quietly, for someone else, somewhere else, who has yet to ask their first question. But not you, not now. You have walked all the paths. You have listened, not just to the stories, but to the spaces between them. You have heard the world as it sounds when it stops trying to be loud. And now, there is only peace. There is only breath. Inhale now, gently, like you're breathing in the scent of the sea at dusk. And exhale, like a leaf drifting onto still water. Again, inhale, just enough to feel your shoulders lift slightly. And exhale, letting them soften. Let your thoughts drift. Now they don't need to stay still. They just need to move slowly. Let them become images, then shapes, then stars that fade gently one by one into sleep. If your body still carries anything tight in your hands, in your chest, behind your eyes, you can let that go now. There is nothing to protect, nothing to prepare for. You've already arrived. Every door is closed behind you, not with finality, but with care. Like a room that's been gently tidied after you left. Like a candle that was blown out only after the story ended. And the story has ended. For tonight. The story of stars and sea, of halls and hearths, of trees that whispered your name and mountains that did not hold you back. You may return to these places any night you wish they wait for no one, but they remember everyone. The compass will spin again when you're ready. The globe will turn when your eyes next open. The tree will drop another leaf when your question changes. But for now, sleep. Sleep with the stillness of the sea over Ogygia. Sleep with the quiet of the archives beneath the big house. Sleep like the stars above Elysium, soft, slow, unblinking. There are no monsters tonight, no prophecies, no noise. Only this moment, this breath, this quiet. You are not gone. You are simply resting. And the world, all of it, is glad you came. It will be here when you return. So close your eyes a little heavier now. Let them fall, like petals at the end of a song. Let your breath deepen. Let your thoughts slow, and let go of even the letting go. Because the journey is complete. You are safe. You are still. And sleep has already begun.